In the heart of the village of Oakhaven, the sun baked the clay ground until it was hard and cracked. The communal garden, once a burst of plasticine color, was now gray and dusty. A young boy named Pip stood at the edge of the wilted patches, clutching a small, empty wooden bucket. He looked at the dry earth and made a quiet promise to help his neighbors bring the green back. While searching for a drop of moisture, Pip heard a faint, tired bee-zee-zee-zee-zee-zee. He looked up to find his old friend Zim, the fuzzy bee. Zim's wings were moving slowly, and his usually bright yellow stripes were dusted with gray silt. "The flowers are sleeping, Pip," Zim whispered. "Without their nectar, my family is too weak to fly, and without us, the garden cannot wake up." Pip knew the village's old spring sat at the top of Pebble Peak, but it had stopped flowing weeks ago. The village elders said the climb was too steep for a little boy, but Pip's heart was full of determination. He looked at Zim and said, "If I can get the water moving, can you get the bees flying?" Zim gave a tiny, hopeful nod. Pip began his climb. The stones were large, smooth river pebbles embedded in thick brown plasticine. Halfway up, he met Silex, the village's oldest stonecutter. Silex was resting on a ledge, looking tired. "It's a heavy task for such small hands, Pip," Silex warned. Pip wiped sweat from his clay brow and replied, "Every small hand makes a difference when the village is thirsty." The sun grew hotter, and Pip's legs felt like heavy lead. He slipped on a patch of loose gravel and tumbled back several steps. His knees were scuffed, and his bucket had rolled away. For a moment, he wanted to sit down and give up. But then he remembered the dry garden and the tired tilt of Zim's wings. He stood up, dusted off his striped shirt, and kept climbing. At the very top of Pebble Peak, Pip found the problem. A large, jagged hunk of slate had fallen, blocking the narrow mouth of the spring. Water was pooling uselessly behind the rock. Pip grabbed the edge of the slate and pushed. He pushed until his face turned a bright shade of clay red, but the stone didn't budge an inch. Suddenly, a familiar buzzing filled the air. Zim appeared, leading a small swarm of his bee sisters. They couldn't move the rock, but they began to hum a rhythmic, vibrating song. The sound echoed through the stones, making the slate shiver. Encouraged by the support of his friends, Pip gave one final, mighty heave, pouring every bit of his determination into his arms. With a loud scritch, the slate slid aside. A rush of clear water tumbled out, sparkling like diamonds against the dull clay. Pip let out a cheer as the water began its long journey down the mountain, carving a path through the dust. Zim did a joyful loop-de-loop in the spray, his fuzzy body instantly refreshed. Back in the village, the water reached the garden pipes. Pip arrived just in time to see the first green shoots peeking through the softened earth. Silex stood by the gate, leaning on his staff, watching the transformation. "You did it, Pip," Silex said, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You showed us that a small spark of determination can light up the whole village." As the sun began to set, the garden was alive again. The flowers, red, purple, and gold, stretched their clay petals wide. Zim and Pip sat together on a garden bench, watching the village children play near the fountain. Oakhaven was thriving once more, all because one small boy refused to let the dust settle on his dreams.